Welcome to the channel, where we find the best of things so you don't have to look. Today we're going to talk about 10 high dividend stocks that could make you $1,000 per month. Before we get started, there's only one thing I ask of you. And that's just if you could like, share, subscribe. And also comment anything else you would like to know more about, or that you would like us to make a video about next. So, dividends can be income for investors. You don't need to sell your assets or spend hours every day managing your accounts. Instead, dividend stocks simply generate income on their own. Putting together a portfolio that generates at least $1,000 in dividends each month takes work, though. First, we need to answer the question of, what are dividends? Dividends are payments that a company makes to its shareholders. For example, let's say a corporation issues a dividend of 50 cents per share. Someone who holds 1,000 shares of this stock would receive a check for $500. Typically, a company will issue these payments based on its profits. When it has made a lot of money, it will distribute some of that among its shareholders. Companies doesn't have to pay dividends, although most do. Depending on the size of the firm, anywhere from 54% to 84% of companies issue dividend payments at least from time to time. Though there is no legally mandated timetable for companies to make dividend payments. When a company does so, it's entirely at its own discretion, though members of a class of stocks known as dividend aristocrats tend to issue them on a regular schedule. Most payments are issued at a quarterly basis. The number one question people ask when it comes to income investing is, how much will I need to meet my goals? This is an excellent question. Unfortunately, the number could be pretty big. Now, there's no fixed amount of money you need to invest for dividends. It all depends on the yield of your investments, so understanding yield is pretty essential to understanding dividend investing. In general, yield defines how much money an investment makes when you hold it rather than selling it. Yield is the amount that a stock pays in dividends per share based on that stock's price per share. So, for example, say that a corporation costs $100 per share. Let's also say that the company pays an annual dividend of $5. This is a 5% yield. If you invest $100 into this stock, you will make $5 each year in dividends. By market standards, that's quite good. In October 2022, the S&P 500 paid an average yield of 1.37%. This means that across the market, on average, investors receive back dividend payments worth about 1.37% of their initial investments. Fortunately, that's lower than historic standards. Ordinarily, the S&P 500 tends to have an average yield of around 2%. So, if we want to make $12,000 per year on average in a market that generates a 2% annual yield, you would need to invest $600,000 up front in order to reliably generate $12,000 per year, or $1,000 per month, in dividend payments. Now, before you give up, let's not forget that there are dividend stocks that offer higher yields than the one we used as an example to generate that $1,000 a month. In order to make that $1,000 by investing less, only means you have to do some research and find safe dividends that pay out higher yields. The 10 stocks I'm gonna reveal to you today are actually some of the safest and highest paying dividend stocks. Before you invest, always be sure to do your research. Some companies with high payouts today may be forced to cut the payments if their business suffers. So never invest more than you can stand to risk. And educate yourself as much as you can to feel confident and comfortable about your investment. Now we're gonna start with a countdown, so let's get into it. Number 10 on the list is 3M Company, or MMM. 3M manufactures a variety of products that are used by businesses and consumers alike. The St. Paul, Minnesota-based company makes everything from building materials, electronics components and orthodontics to perhaps its best-known product, Scotch tape. 3M has paid a dividend to shareholders without interruption for more than 100 years. With a dividend yield of 5%. And an annual dividend of $5.96. Number 9 on the list is Walgreens Boots Alliance, or WBA. Walgreens Boots Alliance operates retail pharmacies across the US, Europe and Asia. Its U.S. pharmacy business administered about 35 million COVID-19 vaccinations in its 2022 fiscal year. The company has a dividend history that dates back to 1989. With a dividend yield of 5.4% and an annual dividend of $1.92. Number 8 on the list is Philip Morris International, or PM. Philip Morris sells cigarettes and smoke-free products in more than 180 countries outside the U.S. Though the company still generates significant profits from sales of tobacco-related products. It's moving towards a greater focus on smoke-free products, that while not risk-free, present less of a health risk than cigarettes. With a dividend yield of 5.7%. And an annual dividend of $5.08 per share. Number 7 on the list is Intel, or INTC. Intel is one of the leading semiconductor companies in the world, and its chips help to power much of the technology we use every day. The company plans to invest billions of dollars in new capacity as it tries to keep pace with rival chip makers. Intel returned about 90% of its free cash flow to shareholders from 2015 to 2019. With a dividend yield of 5.3%. And an annual dividend of $1.46 per share. Number 6 on the list is AT&T, or T. AT&T is another telecommunications leader that generates solid cash flow for shareholders. Recently, the company has divested some assets and cut its dividend by nearly half as it focuses on 5G investments and paying down its heavy debt load. With a dividend yield of 6.1%. And an annual dividend of $1.11 per share. Number 5 on the list is Verizon Communications, or VZ. Verizon is a leader in communication and technology services. Along with AT&T and T-Mobile, they provide the majority of mobile phone services in the U.S. Verizon generated more than $130 billion in revenue in 2021. With a dividend yield of 7.2%. And an annual dividend of $2.61 per share. Number 4 on the list is Best Buy, or BBY. Best Buy is a retailer with stores in the US and Canada, selling primarily technology-based products, as well as appliances such as refrigerators and dishwashers. The Minnesota-based company has shrunk its store count over the past decade from nearly 1,800 stores in 2013 to about 1,100 now. With a dividend yield of 5.4%. And an annual dividend of $3.52. Number 3 on the list is Dow Incorporated, or DOW. Dow is involved in the production of different chemicals that are used in a variety of industries. Its segments include packaging and specialty plastics, industrial intermediates and infrastructure, as well as performance materials and coatings. Dow is headquartered in Midland, Michigan. With a dividend yield of 5.9%. And an annual dividend of $2.80. Number 2 on the list is Devon Energy, or DVN. Devon Energy is a producer of oil and natural gas and holds a portfolio of oil and gas properties in the U.S. The Oklahoma City-based company is focused on earning a competitive shareholder return within its peer group. With a dividend yield of 8.4%. And an annual dividend of $6.20. Number 1 is VF Corporation, or VFC. VF Corporation owns popular apparel and footwear brands such as The North Face, Timberland, and Vans. The company has struggled recently as revenue has declined for some brands and inventories have spiked, leading to more discounts on their products. The company has paid a regular dividend for more than a decade. With a dividend yield of 7.3%. And an annual dividend of $2.04. Dividend stocks or funds can be a great way to earn additional income. Keep in mind that if you own these securities in a taxable brokerage account, you'll need to pay taxes on the income you receive, even if you reinvest those dividends. If you want to avoid taxes, you'll need to own the shares in a tax-advantaged account such as an IRA or 401k. With all of that being said, that wraps it up for 10 high dividend stocks that could make you $1,000 per month. If you haven't already, please be sure to like, subscribe and comment anything you would like us to make a helpful video about next. Thanks again for watching.